listening to the Christian Post Daily Podcast. Today is Friday, July 17th. Faith-based streaming service Wonder Project has struck a new partnership with Sight and Sound, bringing the theater company's acclaimed biblical stage productions to streaming in a season-long rollout beginning July 30. The deal makes Wonder Project on Prime Video the exclusive third-party streaming home for Sight and Sound's collection, with new titles debuting roughly every 2 weeks through the fall, including filmed versions of Jesus, Ruth, Moses, Queen Esther, and Miracle of Christmas. Annie Haftbani, Wonder Project's Senior Vice President of Programming, said, quote, "Few organizations have earned the level of trust and lasting connection with audiences that Sight and Sound has built over generations. Founded in 1976, the family-owned ministry welcomes nearly 2 million guests annually to theaters in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and Branson, Missouri. Sight and Sound President Josh Enck said, quote, "It's about bringing the Bible to life on stage and now on screen." Wonder Project, founded by filmmaker John Irwin, also features the series House of David. The U.S. Department of Education has fired back at 2 liberal podcasters who disparaged homeschooling this week. During a Tuesday episode of their I've Had It podcast, co-hosts Jennifer Welch and Angie Sullivan called homeschooling, quote, "weird as F and crazy Christian problem, and trickle-down stupidity." Welch, an atheist interior designer, claimed homeschoolers are incapable of deduction skills and singled out the freaks of the megachurch. The Education Department responded on X, stating, quote, "The proven value of homeschooling should never be dismissed as trickle-down stupidity. The only thing that is stupid is your ignorance." Conservative broadcaster Glenn Beck also weighed in, sarcastically challenging Welch to debate a 15-year-old homeschooler and mocking, quote, "I am so sick of homeschoolers because, first of all, they're weirdos." After nearly 2 decades at the helm of Focus on the Family, Jim Daly is preparing to step down, and the influential evangelical organization has launched a nationwide search for its next president. The transition, expected to take 12 to 18 months ahead of the ministry's 50th anniversary in 2027, is notably not driven by scandal. Daly explained, quote, "There is no crisis, which is wonderful. We're not under any kind of situation of moral collapse. Finances are good at Focus." Now turning 65, Daly said it's, quote, "time to start looking for the next generation leadership." Founded in 1977 by Dr. James Dobson, the Colorado Springs ministry employs roughly 750 people with a $150 million budget. Reflecting on succeeding Dobson, Daly stressed, quote, "The outgoing person really sets the tone." Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett has revealed she was given a bulletproof vest amid intense threats following the 2022 leak of the draft decision in the Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization case. Testifying alongside Justice Elena Kagan before a House subcommittee in support of the Supreme Court's $225 million budget request, Barrett described the personal toll of the threats, saying, quote, "Threats to my life were particularly intense a few years ago around the time of the Dobbs leak," explaining that after her security detail sent her home with the vest, her 12-year-old son asked what it was and why she had it. "I didn't know how to respond," she said. Kagan warned of a very substantial 38% annual increase in threats. Barrett also recounted a recent swatting incident at her home. The hearing referenced the 2022 arrest of Nicholas John Roski, who was caught outside Justice Brett Kavanaugh's Maryland home, planning to kill him. A new report from the Pew Research Center reveals that social media influencers and podcasters have become a leading source of health and wellness information for Americans, particularly among young women. The study, published Monday, found that 57% of women ages 18 to 29 get health and wellness information from influencers, 10 percentage points higher than young men in the same age group, at 47%. Researchers said, quote, "We did this study to better understand who Americans might be hearing from when they get health and wellness information on social media. Notable gender differences emerged. 51% of young women often hear about beauty and appearance, compared to just 18% of young men. About half of young women cited wanting to make a lifestyle change as their reason, while nearly 1 in 5 said they turn to influencers to learn about topics they don't want to ask a doctor about. While medical professionals remain the primary source of health information, the findings raise questions about digital culture's impact on young adults. The U.S. Marine Corps has condemned inflammatory remarks made by William Upham, a discharged Marine and Florida congressional write-in candidate who publicly claimed President Donald Trump is the Antichrist and called for him to be killed. In a nearly 7-minute video posted to X, Upham, still wearing his uniform, declared, quote, "There is no doubt in my mind that the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, is the Antichrist. He is a false messiah, and he is your enemy, and he must be killed." He cited Trump's criticism of Pope Leo XIV and a controversial AI-generated image. The Marine Corps responded, calling the statements disturbing and a direct violation of the oath he swore to uphold. Hung Chau, acting Secretary of the Navy, added, quote, "William Upham is no longer a Marine and does not represent our values or ethos." Upham served from 2021 until his medical discharge in 2025, reaching the rank of first lieutenant. A coalition of Christian pastors, theologians, and lay leaders has launched a public declaration rejecting a controversial Palestinian Christian document that the Church of England's General Synod voted to hear despite strong Jewish opposition. The Declaration Against Kairos II pushes back against a document titled A Moment of Truth, Faith in a Time of Genocide, which characterizes Israel's Gaza campaign as genocide and calls Israel a colonial apartheid state. Signatories denounce it as inaccurate, one-sided, and dangerous, arguing it violates the commandment against bearing false witness. Meeting in York, Synod voted to hear rather than receive the document, with Archbishop of Canterbury Sarah Mullally noting, "This quote does not mean we agree with everything." London pastor Regan King called the decision astounding, while Chief Rabbi Sir Ephraim Mervis condemned Kairos II as little more than political activism dressed up as theology. You can learn more about this story and everything you heard today by clicking the links in the podcast show notes below. Thank you for listening to the Christian Post Daily Podcast. We encourage you to follow the show in your podcast player of choice, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or third-party podcast players like Overcast and Pocket Casts. You can also download the Edifi app for free and listen to all the podcasts on the Edifi network by clicking the link in today's podcast show notes. We would also appreciate a 5-star rating in Apple Podcasts and Spotify to help us reach a wider audience with the Christian Post Daily Podcast. You can also subscribe to our daily newsletter and get the top headlines delivered to your inbox by clicking that link in the show notes as well. Thank you again for listening to the Christian Post Daily Podcast.